Welcome to the World Tour of Meditation. Our purpose here is to dispel myths around what meditation is so that you can actually access deep inner peace, calm, and joy. And especially in these times, how do we transcend the fear of that? And today I'm so thrilled to welcome to the World Tour of Meditation Helle from Copenhagen and Leonore from Oakland. Now, Helle and Leonore both guide groups of people to connect with the land and teach a form of Nordic singing and herding called Kulning. Is there anything you'd like to add to that?
Well, that's pretty spot on,
Yeah.
and that's what we do together. I also work as an artist, as a singer and actress, and work with expression, the freeing expression, like in artistic, as an artistic language. So that's a work for the inside to express itself in natural landscapes, to say so. Yeah.
Leonore, anything you want to add?
Yeah, our project is called the Nordic Woman. This is our expedition to Sweden that we run together, mixing the historical connection to this beautiful singing technique with its original landscapes. And we really wanted to create an immersive experience, especially for women to really experience this inner wildness in the outer wildness.
Tell me a little bit about this connection to the earth, because it seems like a lot of your work is that inner outer balance, but also rooting us in the landscape and the ecology and all of that. Why is that important in bringing someone to a place of expression, bringing someone to a place of perhaps even meditation?
Well, the singing technique that we are kind of using as our starting point for exploration is really tied to the land, because it's actually a historical technique used by the women who herded animals there. Helle can probably tell us more about the history, but it is very much tied to the landscape itself, in that these women would go and find the places with the best echoes and would really use the land as a singing partner. It's like an active artistic experience with the land itself. And I could just say, I think for both of us, I mean, Helle has a deep background as a wilderness educator in Sweden. That was her path before becoming an artist. I have my own experience with the wilderness arts, and I just know from experience that there's just this whole level of like distraction and neurosis that is not present when I'm deeply immersed in the wilderness. And so I think we both really saw from our lives that immersion in nature is the root of healing.
Helle, can you tell us a little bit more about the history of Kulning and what the word means, and introduction for people who've never heard it before?
I would love to. So the Kulning is actually a Swedish word, and it means coaxing the cow. So ku is cow, and locka is to coax, to tempt, to like, come here. And so there's two words that can go together, and it's the song that was used for calling the cows. And that is basically what Kulning is. It is this language of like talking, singing, shouting, as the herders would do all day long, to communicate with the cattle and to communicate amongst themselves, each other, about maybe the cattle and which kind of cattle. If it was a goat or a sheep or a cow, they would be able to sing different melodies that would tell the listener what this meant. So they could communicate. And in Scandinavia, when we had this farming tradition, like for hundreds and hundreds of years back, in an unchanged way, there's a lot of forest. So you couldn't see the receiver, you couldn't see your cattle, you had to be heard. And the female voice that is very high and can be sharp and loud is like the best way to distinguish, or like the best voice to like be able to distinguish where it's from. If you have to find somebody you can't see but you can hear her, then the high-pitched voice is the best like sound. And actually they also used horns like this. This is a cow horn, and it's got holes. And they would sing, or they would play melodies, the same melodies, and communicate. And it was a very, very refined musical language for communication, and just also a means of personal expression, while having a life in summertimes where some kids, some of the women, like the important women and the like smaller kids would go to the pastures and live for like 3-4 months together in very simple cottages, and then herd the cattle in the wild forests and mountains, like in really wilderness, for like all the day. And they would make cheese and products of butter and milk in the mornings, in the afternoons. And so, yeah, so Kulning is like has been now what has been the word that presents this whole this singing style, which is amazing because, as Leonore said before very nicely, it's so connected with the land. You use the landscape, the sound of the landscape to get the sound traveling, and it's like you communicate with the landscape. And doing this with them in today, learning this for our modern people, we having small, we live in small spaces, we talk not loud, we're not used to shout and sing loud. We just don't speak loud anymore as people did before. And being loud is an extremely, it's an experience of power when you're loud with your voice. And Kulning is having this other magic to it, that it also makes us feel very connected to the land, because the land responds with sound, and it feels very natural. And it is an outdoor singing. So it has this amazing effect that we naturally communicate, and we get to be in our power. And this power is when we're outside in the landscapes, in the forests, the mountains, where we have it. It feels so natural, and we're not used to this experience, like, unless we maybe usually having a body, some like we know how to work out hard, or have contact with like physical power. That's a way to like feel this, but the voice is very deep, and it brings something out in us that's just very deep. So we'll talk more about this, but so the frame of Kulning is this tradition of communication with the voice. That was meant to be heard like for several miles away, where you could not see each other, and it was your safety. It was practical in many, many ways, and it's been a tradition that's been alive and carried on until today, like unbroken. And it's a female singing tradition all over the world. There's been herders, but only in Scandinavia it's been like the women's job. And so the connection to like women today is that like these women being in charge of the most important job for the survival of like living in far out places and surviving long winters. And so it was like that you had a healthy cattle that that had been able to eat in summers, and you making food and produce. So it was very strong women who had these tasks, and it was a freedom. It was a free life, and it was like a hard life, but a free one. And we can learn from this. Yeah, both from the outdoor and the wilderness connection, the crafts also has it all its own thing to it. But there is something very deep in us when we get connection with force and power and our own voice and like the land, the nature. Definitely. So
sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you. Is that something that men do at all? Like, if there's a man listening to this, would he just have to go listen to a woman do it, or is that something he could try out too?
He can try it out. And in former times, like both men and women did it.
Mm-hmm.
And the men is using the so-called falsetto part of the voice, like the higher part, as another physical adjustment to do, like physically you to get this.
Yeah.
The verse falsetto, but men do it too, and you can also do it in like the speaking register, but it's a shouting voice, you know. Okay. So there is a bit of technique to it. You have to. It's an extreme expression, and you need to learn the technique.
I love what you said about like when in life these days do we get loud because we're in these cities and the small living spaces, and like the times I'm loud, and I know that other people are loud, like when they're in their car, because like that's the only time you can be loud sometimes. And it's ironic because that's a very small space, but to be loud, I would imagine, I've never tried, in a space that's as open as the landscapes you're describing, open enough that you get echoes and valleys and all of that, like I can only imagine how extraordinarily powerful that is, as you said.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering, before we get, well, perhaps related to that power, if we could get a little bit into the actual experience that you have when you're there, just in terms of sort of making the link to meditation clearer. Like, what is that link? How is this a practice that connects us with the light in ourselves, and in what way is that done?
I can say that. Well, firstly, I want to say I've done a lot of Kulning in my car. I've practiced a lot of Kulning in my car, and sometimes
the open landscape and without the echoes.
Sometimes, you know, when you live in the city, being an urban shepherdess, you just need to, you know, take every opportunity you can to practice. But it's definitely better out there.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, it's such an extraordinary experience to be out in these ancestral landscapes where the land has heard these calls before, and to have the experience of adding your voice to them. I think I found that very moving to think like it's not so many people now who do Kulning anymore, although there are still Swedes who remember their grandmothers calling the cows like this, and it's very nostalgic for them. So one thing that's really sweet being there in Sweden when we do the Nordic Woman Retreat is the Swedes who hear us are so receptive and so excited. And it's really, I think here, like at least speaking when I've done this in the US, in my native area, and led other Americans, there's a lot of like, what if someone hears me? And I don't, like, there's this fear of disturbing other people. And so like a holding back of the voice. But to have the experience of freeing your voice and then having people just be so receptive and, oh, it's so beautiful, like, thank you so much, it really changes the whole experience. So that's the first thing I want to say. But in terms of the link with meditation, I'd say, you know, in the Nordic Women Retreat, we've combined the Kulning, we've combined certain outdoor crafts, just teaching people how to make fires, carve out of wood, and just immersion into some of these sort of lost ancestral arts. And there is a deep experience of presence that comes from living in this way, that as modern people in our industrialized, incredibly fast-paced lives, we often don't get to experience this kind of just deep presence with the elements, where the weather, the forest, the rain. All these things are partners in our experience. And it is very clarifying to the mind and to the spirit, I've found. So that is so much why we wanted to create this experience for people.
That's extraordinary.
Mm-hmm.
And going, like, just zooming in a little bit, I don't like that word, I guess, centering a little bit more on the experience of the Kulning itself. What is that like from a meditation perspective?
It's very physical, so I'll let you speak in a minute. I'll say for me, it is an embodied experience, because there is a strong breath technique that is being used. So there is a strong attention to the breath and posture, and to using the body as a resonant tool. So as a resonant tool, a tool of resonance. So first there's like a strong body awareness component. And then my experience has been, it's like creating space for all what's trapped inside to come out. And then there's this beautiful interplay of like making these sounds, listening to the land, calling back, silence, calling again. And there's this sort of rhythmic dance of sound, silence, listening, echo, expression. It's
and
really...
you say what's inside to come out. What is that?
I mean, I can say for me, there's been it's been very emotional as well, to take space and use your voice in a big way and take a strong stance with your body requires courage. And like, as Helle has spoken to, it's very empowering. And for me, in my own experience, there's been just a lot of trapped emotions inside that really came out with my voice. And it was quite cathartic and healing too.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah, and can I add something to that? And so there is for many people, and I guess all of us, you cannot do Kulning like a 50%, or like I'll just do kind of little Kulning. Like in Kulning, you only make it when you are 100% full. I mean, the embodiment of supporting your voice in such a strong way has to be full. And then the body has a natural understanding of this like technique, because the babies scream when we get out. Like the first thing we do is screaming. We know how to do. This is a bit more refined, but it's still, the body knows how to do. And so there is no like in between or halfway. You just have to be fully 100% with yourself and with your power in order to make this work practically. So that is a very, very strong means of focus. And so the link to meditation, like where is it? What is it? Leonore, you said a lot already, because when we do this in nature, there is a musical world. Okay, we're not just. I would like to talk about like the voice is a powerful tool for meditation. If the voice was my way into meditation when I started meditation many years ago, that was the voice. And in the Kulning, which is a bit more elaborate, we're doing melodies, we're expressing something, but still a part of the Kulning is that you actually express yourself. An improvisation is a big part of it. There's not just like a language, you have to learn this one and this one and that one, and then you're done. You actually are, while doing it, you are letting yourself express. And that is a very freeing process. So help me with questions in a while, because I know you're good at putting them, but that's one side of it, like you allowing, it's a bit like a Zen kind of practice of being in the moment, being exactly in the moment, and being very full and very strong there. So it's not that you're doing nothing and that's like the meditation. You are doing something, but you are having to letting your you're in a being of a doing.
That
Okay,
actually makes perfect sense.
so and that's beautiful with Kulning, that we don't have to just learn something that, oh, this is a tradition, they did this hundreds and thousands years ago, probably they did it as well, but you are embodying so much power while being and expressing something that you open a channel, basically.
I want to ask you more about that, but I also just want to highlight the thing that you said that caught me the most just there, which is that you can't do it 50%. It doesn't work that way. Because I think that's when you say that you are like the being and the doing. I think it kind of makes sense that way, because often when we think about doing something, like, I mean, how do you meditate when you're doing something? But because the Kulning doesn't work unless you are fully opening up. I think that sort of clarifies how it requires complete presence in that moment. And
yeah, and then there is this other side to it, like, what are you then saying when you open up? Like, as we sit here and talk, we let the talk flows. We communicate, you're curious, we ask questions, answer. We haven't prepared that like in like detail exactly. We're trusting that we are led by the common understanding and our interests and the flow. So when you express yourself with your voice, and there's not words that carry the essence, then it's the musical sense, and then it's just only the music that's left. And the music is like carrying something else from you than the intellectual understanding and logics of the mind, and that we can, it's another language. And when you start communicating and expressing yourself in this other language, you're actually exploring as you go. It's an exploration. And it's, it's an exploration. So you are also opening up for yourself something that's in you, that you have, that you carry, that is you, but that has another language. So you're opening up another world that you can only perceive by listening. You cannot, it's gone when you stop singing and you're producing the sound yourself. So you're producing it and you're expressing it and you're living it while you listen and perceive yourself and the inner world, or the language of your soul, or how you want to put it, which is music is, or your emotions, your feelings. So I have a little story. I once had I worked at a school, and we had a party, everybody working there. It was beautiful space out in the countryside. Everybody was there with their kids and families, all the teachers and so there was this wonderful night, no wind. There were some fields outside with like a forest surrounding it, and so those kids, they said, the two girls, one on 8 and one on 12, and said, "Oh, we want to learn that Kulning," because I did this then as well. I was like, "Okay, we'll walk out here and I'll teach you this." And so I walked out with the girls, and so I started to sing something out, and then I let them sing on tour, and then I take a tour, and then just short little lines, and then I let the next one, and didn't tell me what to sing or what. Just they could just do as I did, and then I made longer and longer lines, and I made them make longer, and so they made longer and longer melodies. Not thinking of it. The big one had a problem with her eye. She went in, and I was left with the 8-year-old girl. And so we wanted to, and like I made a really long line, and then we were in a moment where she just got lost in her own line, just kept on singing and singing and singing, and it sounded great because there was this amazing reverb from the field, and it was dark, the stars were gazing, and after a long time, she stopped and was like, but wow. And then she said, you know, it's like all the sorrow comes out. Yes. She was 8 years and like, do you have any sorrows? But this was deep stuff.
What wisdom.
You know? Deep stuff for her. Like, wow.
Can you give us a demo?
Yes, I would love to. And so know that this is supposed to be heard in its beauty from a far distance. So I'll not, I'll hope that your sound systems out there can make it, but it's something like this.
Wow.
Something like that.
That was beautiful. The sound quality on the Zoom isn't 100%, but that was beautiful even so. Wow.
I could do louder, but I actually, it's about being there with your body so you can support this force and the clearness. Thank you.
Say thank you so much, Helle, and thank you so much, Leonore. Can you say a little bit about what it's like in your body when you're there? Like, so when you're standing there just now, like, in what way were you so more open in your body than you would be otherwise? In what way were you taking more power than you would otherwise?
Oh, how to explain?
I know it's a bit ironic doing a show on meditation. It's like words never explain it.
Yeah. So I understand you right. Like where? Leonore said that just before this, a thing about resonance. You are the resonance body of the instrument. Like if you have a guitar, then there's a hole inside the body of the guitar, and in there, the resonance of the sound is, and it's like what do you call it? So the sound gets stronger. What do you call it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amplified, exactly. It's an amplifier. And so you feel this. You use all your breath, all like you work together with you in singing and shouting like this. You work together with your natural breath, but you have to do something with it. You have to. It's artificial in a way because you're not just following the natural relaxed breath. You are widening yourself to be this support amplifier, and then you are opening your instrument, like your throat, your mouth, your chest, and you kind of contain the sound. And you're just you the work is like you're containing the vibration, Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Is it like an answer?
Yes.
Yeah. You talk a
So
lot
that's one
about,
thing.
yeah, I mean, you talk a lot about you do so much, having observed you teach a lot, you do so much first of just the breath coaching of teaching people how to breathe and how to fill up in places that they don't know they can fill up, like in the back and, you know, in their sides. And then you do a lot about this resonance of like teaching people to feel the vibrations in their face, in the small bones of the face, in the skull, to feel the sound coming out. You have all these complicated she says, like, feel your nose wings opening into the air, and or like a unicorn with the horn, and the sound is a laser coming out, and you do a lot of, it's like a lot of complicated metaphors about the projection. Exactly.
It's so hard. Yeah. So it's true. And like, because you have all these pictures is of course because you can't point like this is this joint, you know, you can't point inside. You have to kind of imagine and feel, and so the picture's all for that. It's true. It's like the placement and the feeling of the resonance.
That makes total sense that it would be so
sounds.
embodied when you put it that way. Also, what that 8-year-old girl said about it feels like the sorrow is all going out because we've got all these cavities and these bones, and I guess when you're filling up a container with that sound, you're shaking it out in a way from the
Yeah.
all the bits.
Exactly. Yeah, it is so physical, and so it's just occurring to me, like in other meditative and ritual practices of like grieving, for example, it's so physical and embodied, and like I think Kulning kind of gets at things on that level too. But sorry, I cut you off, Helle.
No, it's fine. Yeah, so as I said before, I mentioned that my way into meditation in the mid-90s was actually through the voice work. And I had a wonderful yoga teacher on an acting education who taught us amazing stuff with breath and voice. And so there are practices in yoga with voice and breath in which you say different sounds and you sit in different postures and you basically produce those sounds, and it changes your energy. But to meditate with the voice is to just sit and listen while producing it. It's the listening. And it's I think the core in meditation in a way can be said to be the listening, the observance, the observing. And if you really, there are so many things that fall together in the Kulning because it's extremely dependent on you being fully present in your body, because so much has to be, you have to be there. And the way we teach the Nordic woman, we'd like to unfold like a beautiful music tradition, and we can teach melodies and songs and so. But the expression with the voice and the work with the voice is to be with the voice. And that's where you have the opening to the landscape, to each other, to a spiritual sense of community that comes when you sing together. And it's the listening. That was my point. I think there is really, really a key in the listening. We're not very used to be embodied in our listening today. We have very much information we relate to all the time. Like now we are like the information on how the situation in the world right now with the coronavirus is going, like so filling up like our everyday lives. And but listening from the body is a different space. And you are listening to some things. We'll learn that we also can listen to things that doesn't have a language as we understand it, a language of words or even music. I mean, trees don't say words. Grass don't speak or have like sounds. They're moved by the wind and things, and our body exists also in ways that doesn't have words. So there is something in the listening, and yeah, and Nordic woman, we blend in along with like the being in a natural world. We can connect to, and that where we find ourselves as natural beings, and like a totally, like, it's very much feeling like finding a home, that we really connect. Then I'm losing myself here. I'm trying to keep on track. That's one side, but listening. So the other side of our work at the Nordic Woman is this inside, and as a preparation to Kulning, it's sorry.
The other part of the Nordic Woman is the what? It just dropped in that moment.
So a part of this, and that's just what the Kulning brings in. It links us. It makes a link from something that is body, my soul, my core existence, through my breath, through my voice, to what is outside of me, which is like my surroundings, my peers, the land that is like we put into the world, into a natural land that we're actually collaborating. We might not notice in the cities, but we are, and so the breath work and the voice work that goes with the Kulning in my work as I teach it is connecting these things. It's just yeah, for me it goes together, and it's a beautiful possibility.
What are some of the results that you've seen in people experience this connection with the land, this resonance, this freedom of their voice, perhaps this release of emotion, grief, the stepping into power, and really that connection with the land, and this listening to trees and grass and cows?
It is a feeling of connection with the core of nature, but suddenly it's in my inside. It's not something I see like, wow, that's an amazing rock and landscape, and that's a waterfall. People feel this. They're like connecting with the fact of core of their nature. It sounds so big, and it is so big. And I had a singer in a workshop where I was teaching, and she was a good singer, a really good singer. And she said, I never had this connection. This is what I've been dreaming of all my life. I didn't know, but I truly feel the connection with my inner nature. I never felt this before. That there is something that goes from inside and out, or outside and in this work, where you release the voice in this way, and it's an acoustic phenomenon that makes us really connect with nature. And we also living bodies. Nature is full of life, and we have like the universe radiating down on us, and so we're in this life space, being a part of this life space. And I think that's a very universal thing that that people experience. Like they get to be a creative part of like universe life itself.
Mm.
And I it's overwhelming, it's magical, it's like, wow, how? And like, but the voice it's an amazing tool for us to use. And I as I told you before, and as was Leonore, we both work with embodiment in different ways. So it's having this background makes it, I mean, it's good to have a holistic approach working with something as a body and a human being. So even if it's just a singing style, or well, if you can try to get the full, like the nature of our being with to get it in the work, then you really connect. And that's of course a process, and you need time. That's why we don't just do this like over a weekend. It takes time, and also a praxis where you connect with something that big. It takes time.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Helle. Anything you want to add?
That was a long one.
I think, yeah, like Helle's really speaking about the transpersonal experiences that can come from this. And I think that's absolutely a result, is to have really a spiritual experience of being with your voice and your body and the land. And I've also I'm just thinking about how much people have talked about the self-trust that comes from embodying this courage to use your voice in such a big way. You know, it's one thing to think about it, it's one thing to talk about it as we're doing, but it's another to do it and to know in your bones that you can do this. That is a courage we can take back into our lives, I think.
Is that something that you're able to, I mean, obviously there isn't the landscape involved, but is that something you're able to teach online?
Well, Helle does some lessons online.
I didn't hear the last sentence.
Oh, she said, can you teach that online?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So Helle does teaching over Skype.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, definitely. Yeah. And and I mean, of course, I think also I have had some great urban cooling experiences, like cooling off of buildings. Sometimes you get like great echoes from that too.
I have a question on that. What's it like cooling in different landscapes? Like, Helle, if you were to teach me, or if you were to teach someone like in a very different kind of landscape shape, like where it's just like desert, or where it's like buildings, like where Leonore is, versus like hills and valleys, like, or if you're say out on a boat and doing it on the ocean, how does the landscape shape affect your relationship and the practice?
In some landscapes, you are able to get a resonance back. So if you have buildings, if you have forests, if you have something that kind of throws back the sound, then you have a lot of fun with the sound. If you're at the beach and it's like the sea, you won't get that back. Then you will only get the satisfaction of like expressing all that power that you get from the ocean, like, but you won't get the resonance back. Like you won't get that gift to back that it's speaking back to me. But you can have so much fun in cities because streets and places will actually sound amazing. So you when you have learned or gotten to a point where you're there to like you just check the acoustics in your surroundings, then you can find that there are interesting acoustics actually like everywhere.
Cool.
Many places. So
and by the sound of it, that acoustic, hearing that back, is part of what makes you feel connected with the world, part of what makes you feel like you are nature.
Yeah, and I just thought of one thing just before you asked this. it's this being in your power. Like, it's such a physical feeling of being in one's power to use the voice so strong. That's like in itself a very, very amazing thing. So, and you don't need, the most 3 echoes at the same time, and like to get the feeling of like being in your power. So, I mean, but you get the, I mean, it's great to really hear that you're communicating with, you're reaching out physically to something very distant, and that's funny enough very physical. To you get the sound back, so you actually reach out in space and you get something back. That's amazing. But then this thing that you're being in your power, you're connecting with yourself and your own power. It's so strong. I think that's one of the strongest things with the Kulning, and that what people experience are like being in their power. And it's not just like a scream, it's actually something, and I can actually express something with that. And think about when you then start to express something, like being so much in your power, and other women or people around you, they respond in the same way. Like, that's a very, very it gives a lot of it's magic. It gives you a lot of I don't know, confidence that you can actually, just to get these experiences. It's very freeing. It's very freeing.
Thank you both so much. So if people want to, actually, is there anything you want to add that I haven't asked you?
Well,
go on.
We can add that we are actually running our yearly Nordic woman workshop in September this year, and which is where we go to the mountains, to the heart of the Kulning traditions, and in Sweden. And so we hope we'll be able to bring people, but we'll see about that.
That's fantastic.
No, thank you for.
That's in Sweden in September.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
For men and women?
It's in Sweden.
Oh, it's a Nordic woman. Okay.
It's for women, and it's September 7th to the 16th.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And can you say a little bit about the webinar that you're offering, and also how people can get in touch with you if they want classes? This sounds amazing when you talk about power.
Yeah, definitely. So we have our little offering is a webinar where we talk a little more about the history, the context, kind of like what culturally Kulning comes out of. Also put some Kulning recordings there too, so you can hear more of the sound. And our overall website to learn about all of our work, the retreat, is thenordicwoman.com. And we'll put a link up there too for Helle's Kulning lessons. And I know Helle's Kulning website,
we can do that.
nordicvoice.dk.
Right.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. Helle, could I be so bold as to ask for another demo?
Yeah, do a longer one and stand up more, like get a little more distance, I think.
And while Helle's setting up,
I'll get a little more distance, I think.
Leonore, do you know if there's a way to turn off Zoom's remove background noise function? Okay. Oh well. I hope this recording comes out great, and if you're watching it and you don't think it's great, go listen to the recordings in the webinar, because those will
be we have good recordings for this.
Yeah, and honestly, all I knew about Kulning was I heard it once or twice, and I was like, this is extraordinary. Even just listening to it, not even doing it, just hearing it felt so powerful. So please listen.
Yeah. So I can recommend after this, if you get curious, my YouTube with the Kulning over the wind.
Yum.
It sounds amazing. But here you'll get just a try. I'll back out and then make your other one. Oh, it's better.
Bra, jättebra.
Does that make sense sound-wise?
That's great.
Okay.
So, Leonore, could you hear that fine sound-wise?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Good, good. Hey, thank you both so much.
Thank you so much, Daksha. This was so fun.
Thank you for having us. It was wonderful.
Real pleasure. I think that, I mean, you've spoken a bit to me, but I think that meditation, there's just so much to it, and the world is so diverse, and it's so important to sort of have it all spread out, not to devalue anything or put everything on the same table, but really have it spread out so people can find something that works for them right now and that helps them, because we're in times when the world needs it, and there's enough connection and resources and technology to facilitate that, which wasn't there in the past. Yeah, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, and good luck by maybe just starting to listen to your voice. Doesn't have to be extremely powerful in these 4 rooms that you sit in, or 4 walls when you're in room, but you can actually just start to listen to your voice just like it is.